Hello, in this is your man Benjamin from OhepoLeatherCraft, and in this tutorial I'll be teaching you how to do a basic pattern using CorelDraw, using all the technique we have learned. Okay, so without wasting much time, I'm going to guide you through the process. So I'll start with opening a new document, and this time we're targeting, or we'll be using the paper type, the A4 paper type. So it's already set. We can just name it. So for the project, it's a simple passport wallet, so we can just name it as a passport wallet. So with that is done, this to RGB, we are good and fine. Okay, so this is the CorelDraw interface. So the passport wallet, well, initially as a designer you must have maybe sketched your concept or design it. So I already have mine in my head, so I'll just go ahead and replicate it right away. So the passport will have like three parts: the exterior, the interior, and the credit card holder, which is also part of the interior. So we'll start by using the shape tool, the rectangle tool. So we'll draw a rectangle, and we'll set the measurement here. So the width will be 15.3 centimeter, and the height or the width will be 19.5 centimeter. So it gives us the shape. Okay, so we can just press P to position our object to the middle of the page. Okay, so with that done, it will duplicate. Okay, it's not a time to duplicate, so we'll just go ahead, click the shape tool to give our pattern a curved edge. So you can just either use your mouse to randomly drag to the precision you like, or you can just use this. You can just impute this, and you can just say 10 millimeters. Okay, hit enter. So it's going to apply to all the four corners. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we zoom out, you can see that it's applied to the four corners. Okay, so that is it. Then go ahead now to duplicate this. So you can just copy, paste, or shift this aside. So we can say this as our exterior. So we can just use the text file and just write exterior. Okay, place it in the middle, so that when we are printing, we can just have that in mind that okay, this is the exterior, another, but we are still coming to it though, it's not done. So for the interior, we'll still go ahead to make a slot inside where our passport holder can easily slide into. Okay, so we can just come here and make a 1 millimeter box. Sorry, 1 centimeter. Sorry, 1 centimeter. So that it's more like a space from the edge of the interior towards the middle. So I'll just move that. You can also group it so that we will delete this though. So we're just using it as a guide, so that you can see where it says middle, we'll leave it. Okay, so we're also bringing the same guy to the middle. Alright, so we're extending Okay, so this is properly placed in the middle. You can just go ahead and delete this guy. So we'll probably also add some edge to our internal slot here, so we can just make it 5mm, or you choose any measurement you want. That's too much now, so we'll reduce it to, we'll reduce it a little bit. 5mm. Okay, so for me this is perfect. Okay, so we are done with the interior. Can just also copy and paste and move this aside. Okay, and then the internal slot side, so we can just use another rectangle tool. Okay, rectangle tool, we'll draw a rectangle, and the size here will be 6.8 centimeter by 15.3 centimeter. 15.3 centimeter. Okay, so we can just, since we have a shape, because it should be also the same length with the so now it's correctly placed. So now in this case we also need to round these two corners, okay, so that it can rhyme with the same internal part. Okay, so we can just click on the shape tool, we hold down the control, or we can just unlock this, okay, so that we can easily assign value to each of the boxes we want. So here with 10mm, so 10mm, here as well with 10mm. Hit enter. So we are good. That's it for this side, and you can go ahead to also make a groove. So you can just choose a 3-point curve. So before we do that, can just you can just go ahead and delete this. We no longer need them. So you can just go ahead and give the slot here to the middle. Okay, this is it. Let's go. Use our shape tool again. Click on shape, so hold on our shift key, or I can just go with the shape to a straight line tool. Directly set straight line so that we can know the middle of the shape. So we can just move our middle point there, right? So this is here, you can just drag on this point, and also drag on this point to give it the same curve, so it's having a curve. And so what we'll do now, we'll fill this shape. So now good. So we have to now join these two to make a new object. So we can use the weld to give us a different entire shape, right? So with that done, you can just do away with the one behind. Okay, so we have a new shape. We can just remove the fill on this. Then now we have to also prepared the stitching line or the stitching guide for this part of the slots. Okay, so we can just say give it a 2 centimeters apart. Okay, so move it to the middle. You can just give it a color red so that you can see it as we walk. Then we can further come here to so create another so for this we'll end up deleting the line later on, but it's just going to be our stitch guide. So you can just copy all this. So now we have our 3 parts for the passport wallet. Okay, so here is the material, here is the slot. So this is the 3 parts of the wallet. So the next phase will be to now provide a stitching guide on the pattern. Okay, so there are different approaches to this. Okay, so first the first approach I will use, I will start with basically creating dashed outline. Okay, so that means with the dashed outline you can randomly, like with your stitching punch, you can actually follow that guide to to stitch on the pattern through your ladder. Okay, so first on how we can do that is to select the object. Okay, and we'll get that through the contour tool. Okay, so most times a lot of people choose a different border they want to start sewing or start stitching from the pattern. So some people use their own convenient measurement, but for this tutorial I'll just use maybe 3 or 4 millimeters. So now what I'll do, I can just click on the object I want to apply the contour to. So and I'll apply it internally. You can see that there is a small inward pointing arrow. Make sure it's selected, right? And then to compute automatically, you can see there's another outline, giving equal the same distance from inside from the edge of the pattern. So if I click this, it will carry it outward, right? So I can just click inside to bring it inward, which is what I need because I want to stitch inward, not outside the pattern. Okay, so I can just increase the distance using this let's say 3 millimeters, or we can say 4 millimeters. Okay, depending on what you want. This is just a tutorial, so we can just leave it at 3 millimeters. Okay, so this is done here. Same thing here. Right, you can just click on this, just bring it to 3. Right, so here we also apply the same thing, but in this case we won't stitch this side because this is where you place your card slot. So you can just go ahead and add it. Okay, so that it gives us an idea where our stitching line will be. Okay, but in this case, in the real scenario, we'll take off this upper part because that's where the slot will go, the cards. Okay, so and here will be a cutout so that your passport can slide in. Okay, so with that done, we'll just go straight to applying the dash. That's the first technique of creating like a stitching line. So here we'll break the contour apart. When you break it apart, this is now a different entity, this is now a different entity. Okay, so now with this, then we can just go back and click on black outline, black outline, create it as outline. Okay, then by click, just for me to create the outline, I just clicked on my right button of the mouse, click on the color, so right button. If I click here, change it to red, right button, change it to black. Okay, so with this done, right, I can just come here and choose any outline I want. You can see it has created, outline for me to show that okay, this is a stitching line, and this is your stitch on. You get to give it a guide. You can also use your caliper. Right, after getting the outline, you can just use your caliper to create that outline. But I just want to use this technique, this digital technique, to to precisely give you the right placement of your punch holes or your punch and order in stitching. Okay, so now that's the first technique. Okay, so the technique I'll proceed next is that of the hole. Okay, so this is actually not precise because you don't know where to punch. Okay, it just gives you this random line or this unique line for you to follow, so it's left for you to punch using your own discretion. So the next technique will be using the punch, using the creating holes for you to punch. Okay, so first of all, it's two approach. Right, I'm going to do normal round hole for round punch. I'm going to do a diagonal or diamond shape kind of like punch hole. So I'll start with the round one, which is something I mostly use. So we'll start by creating a cycle. So we can just put cycle 1 millimeter, also 1 millimeter. Right, so this is a small cycle here. So what we'll do, we'll place the cycle on the line, right, and we'll make a copy, and also create another cycle. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll click on the what. I want you to pay attention here because this is very it's important, right? So you click on the blend tool. This is a blend tool here. So you click on this, you click and you drag, right? Don't leave the mouse button. So when you touch the other cycle, you leave it. Okay, so that means you have blend this cycle to this cycle. So what you do next is to apply this blend to a part. Okay, so on our part will be this part that we have created for our stitching line. Okay, so now this is it, new part, click here, right? So it has blended it to this part, right? It's not yet over. So the next phase will be what, to set the gap from each cycle, that's from each punch hole. You can set the gap. Okay, so you can use this blend step or the blend spacing, but I'll advise you to use the blend spacing as this is precise. So there are some stitching points that are 4 mm apart, or stitching prongs, sorry, that are 4 mm or 5 mm. So you can just set that. Let's say our stitching punch is 4 mm, or you want to create 4 mm between each stitching hole. This is where you set it up. So you can just press enter. Okay, it has created 4 mm apart. Okay, so the next step now is what? To blend this shape along the part you have created. Okay, so you can now come here, this small arrow, you can see blend full part. So if I zoom out, it has created a unique hole round the shape for me, which I can now follow to punch. Okay, so this is the major, this is the main part of the tutorial. Okay, so this is it. So let me use the opportunity to also show you the other technique, which is using the diamond shape, stitching prongs. Okay, so in this section, let me clear this blend. Right, it's still going to be the same thing. Okay, but in this case, instead of us using cycle, we are using the diamond shape. Okay, so what we can do, we can just create a line, let's say any distance, and say let's just say 4 mm. Let's see how it is. Okay, 4 mm. So now we'll now stroke this, we'll convert this line to what? To a artistic stroke, right? So you can just come here, click. You can see it has converted this to an artistic stroke. Okay, so if it's too big, we can also still reduce it depending on what we want. Okay, so now we have created it. So now we have to convert this guy. We have to break the artistic media apart so that we can just take only the shape. Okay, so if you can draw, you can also still draw the shape. It's all left for you, but I prefer using this technique. Okay, so and I can now rotate this guy, let's say 45 degrees, or depending on how you want the angle of your punch, or how your angle of your punch is arranged on the stitching prongs. Okay, so you can have something like this, or you can reduce it further. It's all left for you. Okay, you can just use maybe 32 or 30 degrees. Okay, let's say 30 degrees. It's not bad. So now create another copy, move it forward. So using the same technique, right, we'll blend these two together, so we'll have a shape. So what we'll do next is to attach the bend to a part, which we've done, and we'll set a distance for it. Let's say 4 mm. Hit enter. You can see we have that diamond shape looking punch hole kind of effect. So now what we'll do, we'll blend it to a part, right? Good. So you can see how it looks like, right? But in this case, you can further say rotate all. So for this technique, I have to rotate. You can see from here it was looking fine, smooth and straight. Now you can see how it's looking weird here. It's meant to maintain that consistency. So what we'll now do now is to rotate all objects. So if we rotate all objects, you can see it follows the same part you know, and maintains our same standard till the start and finishing point, okay, which is what we want. So with this done, you can just we'll click on the line. So I know you click on the blend, you now see break blend apart. So when you break blend apart, you can now detach the blend from the outline, giving you this view. You can see you have created your clean, you know, diamond shape punch on that. So that is it. So the same thing here. We will now click on this blend and break the blend apart. Okay, so we delete the line, we don't need this anymore. Okay, so with that done, we can further move here. So what we'll do is to copy. So now we are going to replicate this our line, because I decided, so depending on your pattern, you know, this exterior is what will show at the back of the passport wallet. So this is the major stitching part. Okay, so the exterior to the interior, so we can just copy this, right, paste, you know, no, hold on, no. So with this done, so I will not break at this point. So okay, so now what we'll do is to copy and paste, right? So click on the circle, copy and paste, so it copies it with the part. So move it here. Okay, so this is the interior stitching part. So what we can do is to later delete the other one we don't need. So same thing is applicable to this part, right? So you can just come here, so and also drag this line up so it aligns. So we now know that okay, we have created our stitching parts for the 3 parts. So what we'll do next is to, so for this one now, for the slot, because we have to have this stitching line here, we'll have to create a stitching part on this and as well on the interior, because these 2 pieces will go together first. So what we'll do now is to, let's break these apart. This is it here. So any other, we can just, let's say, you can see this one appears here, right? So what we'll do, it's also part of the pattern, but depending, you can, you know, adjust it manually, but if you adjust it, it will affect the whole thing. Okay, so you can just graphically, you know, manipulate it, or you can also let's say I can go ahead and remove this line here. Sorry, now I can break this contour apart. I can do it with this line, since I've already gotten where I'll place the hole. Okay, so I can just do away with this small part, this small cycle here, because this is literally way too small. So even if you don't get to punch on this hole can still be visible from the interior part, so you can just do away with this, right? And also do away with this, so anything outside it, we are taking it out. So that is it for this one. So what we'll do next is to also create the stitching part for this. So you can just move this guy to the middle, copy and paste, and also move this guy upward. So what we'll do now, blend the two circles together so that we can create our own stitching parts together. Can just, sorry, hold on. We'll not get enough space to place our, to match the part, so we can just do this and blend it from this part. To a new part, which is this. We'll set our distance 4 millimeters, locate, and we now blend along full part. So that is it. Okay, this and paste. Here, okay, so we are good to go. So what we'll do now is to lock these two objects together. There's some couple of lines I have to remove. Those other lines that aided us with, they are more like nowhere the lines to place another, so we have to delete some of those. So this curve here, we don't need it anymore, delete it. Then these lines, no, we need that. I'll say this. This is the last one that we don't need, so just need to understand the object manager, how objects are placed. So this we don't need. Okay, good. So what we'll do now is to first break the blend apart. Remove this line, don't need it, break the blend apart. Okay, so this is it. We now Ctrl G to group. Right, so when we group, we all move together as one, which is what we need. So we'll do the same thing here. So break the blend apart, and we'll remove this, and also break the blend apart, remove this. Okay, so we have our interior. Select all and we'll group. So we are grouping so that we don't scatter things around. Okay, So this again, do what we break the blend apart. I'll delete this. So the next thing is to group it. Okay, so now, so I believe you also know how to do this technique, right? So we'll just do away with this for now. So with this, we can now, let's say we give this a different color so that you see how things are placed around. Okay, so let's give this a red, sorry, no, red outline. Okay, so if I move this over, it locks. So what it means is that I'm going to sew this guy on this guy, and these are the holes exactly, so it's matching each other as well. So that's how you know things are correct. Okay, and also this guy is meant to be sewn to this guy, so this part we also have to create this hole here so that we'll stitch this to it. Okay, so let me move this guy here. Okay, and also adjust it down. You can see that the holes are unique, right? So what we'll do now, I'll probably have to, I can go ahead and create or copy these same holes and replicate it. Okay, it's all the same. So what I can do, I'll just create a middle line here, because it's literally in the middle, right? Or I can just create another guide point here. I can put this guy in the middle and also in the middle, so that if I'm moving the shapes in, they'll probably place on each other, or I'll probably know where to place it. So I'll move this guy away. Okay, I will, let me see, let me ungroup this. We'll copy and make a copy. So let me shift this guy aside, so I'll use this one. So let me ungroup. Selected only these ones and move it in place. So along the line with the whole pattern design thing, you also need your technicality will improve, by the way. So I just held down my shift while I move so that the distance are kept straight. Okay, so I can also give this guy red colors, the outline, so you can see they are all red now. So if I move, let me group this guy, so I'll hold down my shift, select this. Okay, let me also group them together, so they are one group now. And sorry, so I can get to move them all because I've grouped them. Okay, so I'll delete this guy, I don't need it anymore. Okay, so the one last thing we do, you can see that if we are meant to sew this pattern, right, so we should have a thread locking this edge to the interior. If you wish, you can leave it this way, it's all up on you, but for better strength and to make sure that this particular piece here is locked to the internal, it's as advisable we also create a stitching hole to extend the stitch to the interior part. So what we'll do, we can just create another 1mm hole. Okay, and just, you can still follow that straight part, but right now I'm eyeballing it, so I know where to just roughly place it. Okay, so we are now good to go. So this is this is our, so I have to group these two together and also give them red outline, so you can literally move them together. So these are the three parts. Okay, so the interior, the exterior, and the slots for our credit cards, ID card, and all that for the passport holder. Okay, so that is it. So the next phase, you can now, since the pattern is done, sometimes you can feel like, okay, let me customize, okay, let me have different colors, let me try different colors, how will it look and all that, right? So in that, what we can do, let me just we'll have, in that case now we'll have to what, these are indicator for exterior, interior, and slot. We have to remove it because on the final let me say, if you want to prototype, you can leave it there, it's all your choice, but for the clean work, it's advisable you can just remove it, you know, you can just create a copy and work on that. Okay, so that will have our, because on the long run this will be your printable copy, right? So the exterior, you can do something like you can just remove this guy, ungroup, so you don't need the text, so that when you color, your colors are true. Okay, group all. Okay, and this. So we have so what you can do, there are two approaches to this. You can use this feature, this combine feature. So when I combine it, right, so any hole placed on it and the shape, the automatic, there is a combination. So if you, let's say we color this blue, you can see that the holes are white, so the holes are see-through, which is similar to your punch holes and all that. Okay, or the second approach is to what, to fill. You can also fill it, so it will fill and create another new object, right, for you. It's all the same thing, right? So but professionally, it's nice you just use the combine. If your shapes and all that is correct, you can just use the combine tool, and it will probably, you know, create the shape for you, right? So you can just use this. Now we click on the combine tool, right? So let's say we want to make this guy a black leather. You can just go ahead, select it, and make it black. I want to make this, so we have to also combine this. So each of these tools, they have their unique function. So you can just read through the small hints that is provided for you, so you know how it works best. Okay, so we can just combine again, and let's say we'll make this brown. I use mostly black and brown leather, so we can just give this a tone of brown, right, and change the outline to, let's say, black, or remove the outline. It's all left for us on what we want to do. Or can I say this is what, black. Okay, we'll have to combine first, so let us have to ungroup all. I'll combine this, so give this guy a black color, black color, so you can see. You can also come to add a little bit of you can add your logo and all that. It's all in the prototyping phase, you know, so that's when you say, okay, place objects together, it gives you the look and feel of how the whole thing will look like. Okay, so this here, you have to bring this guy to the front, so order, bring to front of page, so it's in the front, and then this way. You can see, give you an idea of how it will be, and also placing this guy which will not be visible from this side. So you can literally just see that, okay, this is the back side, this is the interior side. So basically you can do some level of prototyping here. So this is the main thing we need. So for now we change all the outlines to black, because when we want to print, everything to be clear. Okay, so for this, let me go and remove the outline for the text. It's not necessary anyway, but you can just, it's all up to you. So everything looks the same. Can go back and group them. So they are together. So for now, the next phase is to what? We have created a pattern. We have done like some level of prototyping, changing colors and all that. It's all up to you. So now is to move to what? Printing. Okay. So printing our pattern. So now I started working on A4 paper size. So printing on the pattern, we're actually going to print on A4 paper. Okay, so that's how it works. So what we can do is the printing phase. Okay, so now we'll double click on this to create a border. So you double click on the rectangle tool to create a rectangle border on the page. Okay, so let's see this as our real page. Okay, we have a border. So in the real sense, some printers have particular border that you cannot exceed, in as much you cannot print on the whole full paper. There's some gap you should give just because of the mechanism of the printer. So in that case, what I usually do, I create a 1 by 1 centimeter small box, right? 1 centimeter, right? So what this means is that I'm going to create a border. Okay, so we can either use this technique or use the border or use the contour technique. So contour tool, I can just set it to internal, right? So 1 centimeter, and I hit enter. So I know that anything I'm going to place, it shouldn't exceed this 1 centimeter. Okay, sometimes I can reduce it to like 5 centimeters. Some printers 5 millimeters. Some printers can allow you to do it if your patterns are way big. Sometimes I even print on A3 paper, depending on how big the pattern is. So with this done, right, I'll just use this as a guide. So when I place my pattern on the paper, I know that okay, it shouldn't exceed this, so that you don't have issues with your printing. So now this is already group. If it's not group, we just group it. So when we press the letter P, it moves the pattern to the middle of the paper, which is what we need, right? So this goes here, and we can decide to like print each of the parts on one paper, or sometimes if you want to economize, you can just move to, I think there's enough space for this to go here. Good, so there's enough space for this to go here. So now what we can do is this is good. We can just press P to centralize it, and also hold down Shift, click and drag, and leave it. So we can see that this guy, it's on 2 pages, right? So now the next one, we are going to create another page so that we can place this guy. Okay, so that's it's all unique. So we can just print next page. So what we can do is to come here, click on this guy. We want to copy this thing we have done. You can also replicate it on the same page. It's all up to you. So you can copy, and also apply the same thing here, right? Same thing here. Now we have to cut this guy. Ctrl X, cut, and move it to page 2, paste, make sure it's group, press the letter P, brings it to the middle. Okay, so with this done, we are good to go. So if you have plans of like selling the patterns or like sharing patterns, or you can just leave your details, so all this empty space and all that, you can do your writings and all that, do your design, put your logo and all that, it's all left for you. So when we are done, we'll delete this guy, we don't need it anymore. So it's all our pattern on the paper. Okay, so that is it. So for now, the next thing we'll do, we are going to export our patterns, right, in PDF so that we can print it, right? So by doing that, this is how we do it. So now make sure we save. As you're working, please ensure you save so that you don't lose your files, maybe due to an error or something. Passport wallet. So we'll save it as a CorelDraw file first. We'll save. So after done saving, what we can do is to export. So now I want to export this file as a PDF file so that we can take that PDF file and go print our pattern, right? So now we choose PDF. Okay, so now we can just so we want to export this whole document. Okay, page 1 and page 2 is this document. So we can export, we can choose this option like export this page only, do not show filter box, so but it's available. So now I want it to show the filter box. Okay, so we can just say export, right? So we'll click on export, this window will come up, right? This current document, we can leave it as default, so it's going to print page 1 and page 2. So we can just go to page 2 pages. This is what I do most, like pages, so that I know that okay, I want to print page 1 and page 2. Okay, so we choose this. This is basically where our selection is. So sometimes you can have like many pages and you want to print specific pages, so you can choose 1 to 2 or 1, 2, so you can do all that. Okay, so make sure it's all, the size of your paper is selected is A4. Okay, so with that done, we just press OK. So I'll press OK. Our PDF file is generated, and we go to location where we stored our document, and this is it here. So load, and you can see our PDF passport wallet is here. So we can just double click. You can open with a PDF reader, or maybe to open your browser. So most times if I want to print from my personal printer or something, I can go through my browser, it's more easier. Okay, so you can see our pattern well arranged and stuff. So now we'll print. So print, click on the print. You can see, so you can choose either to print portrait or landscape. So most times portrait, since we have arranged our files in portrait format, so portrait is fine, and we want you to print all the document, right? So you can go to more settings, right? So pages per sheet, 1 page per sheet. So we don't want to save, so printer, when you add your printer, you should see it here, then you print. Okay, so but in this case there's no printer connected to my laptop, so that's why you want to see save as document, and know that it's as easy as that. Or you can just get the file, go to the printing press, and you can print it there. So that's it, design of the pattern from start to finish, and also print it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and thank you.